Harvard said this model is slightly complicated and it is very important model because the consumer, unless the company are not studying the consumer behavior, how consumers are influenced by the environmental source, either internals or external. Now it is completely based on the exogenous or external factors. This model, which is completely industrial buying behavior, because majorly we are offering a two product, one is a consumer product and one more is industrial product. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Natesh, lecturer in commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, MYSURU, the Temple of Excellence. So we are in the Unit 5, Section 3, first semester BCom, consumer behavior. And today my agenda, last session, which is related to consumer behavior model, I have covered around 5 model. So which is a continuous section. So here the sixth model is, which is related to Howard-Seth model. Howard-Seth model, which is dealing the, whenever you are trying to go for the model which is completely based on the consumer behavior, how they are behaving towards the, when they are trying to purchase the product. Okay, so here the Howard-Seth model show the process and variable influence the behavior before and during the purchase. So any consumer, if they try to purchase any product, either they are trying to purchase one time or repeated nature, they are purchasing for the first time they are purchasing. So which is involved, a number of process will be going on, and what are the variables will be influencing for at the time of purchasing the product. So here it emphasizes the three key variables. One is perception. So any consumer, before they are purchasing any product which is really required for the consumer, of course they want to go for the perception, which is related to learning and attitude formation, because each and every consumers we are able to identify unique consumer. So those consumer having an idea about any product, if they are purchasing, if they have any knowledge about the product, so of course which is completely depending variations, we are able to find out there is a different consumers are purchasing based on their real requirement. Okay, so it explains the way consumer compare with available product in order to choose the best which is fit their needs and desire. Because any consumer, if they are trying to purchase any product, of course what they are trying to do, so they are trying to collect all the information where and all it is available, which product will meet the demand for the consumer, because the consumers are based on the needs and wants and desire they want to fulfill. Of course they are trying to purchase a product. Consumers learn by finding out the relevant information about the product through two sources of information. Any consumer, they are trying to purchase a product, they want to depend completely on the information where they are trying to collect. So either they are collecting with the help of a social source which is related to the social class what we are studying, which is completely depending on the society. Okay, so consumers, we are able to identify in the society what kind of information they can grab, they can collect with the help of society. And commercial source like advertising or television or social media, so there are different magazine. Okay, and primary data, primary source and secondary sources, so these are different types of sources they are trying to depend. So they gather the information is used for comparison of alternative brand, because according to, if any company are offering, only one company is offering, of course they are trying to get an information before they try to purchase the product. So they, of course as a consumer, their behavior will be keep on changing. If there is an availability brand that different types of companies are offering a similar kind of product, so of course as a consumer they want to collect. So they want to gather the information before taking any steps to go for purchasing according to various choice of criteria. So of course either they are depending on the different types of data they are collecting, why finally they want to take a right decision. So either I can purchase the product or not to purchase the product. The basic structure of the model is given below. Okay, in the next slide, moving forward. So Harvard said this model is slightly complicated and it is very important model because the consumer, unless the company are not studying the consumer behavior, it is very difficult to offer the product. So based on the consumer study, the consumer behavior studies only, this model is slightly complicated and show that the consumer behavior is complex process and accept learning and perception and attitude influence the consumer behavior. Because whenever the consumer want to get an idea about the consumer behavior, because the consumer how they are trying to go for learning, okay, either they are learning method, the stimuli what we have studied in the last session, okay, so and the perception, the consumers to consumer perceptions will be keep on change, right? So and attitude to how it is influencing for the purchasing, okay, the attitude how it is influencing. So everything we need to study as a marketers, as a company, they want to study. It has a 4 set of variables which are, one is input, okay, how they are getting information, what source they are collecting information, how they are trying to select the best product, okay. So finally the input is very important, and perceptual and learning construct and outcome, and extraneous or external variables. So there are different types of which is variables we are able to identify, because the consumers to consumer how they getting input, okay, what kind of perceptual and learning constraint they are using, and outcome, okay, and output, and even exogenous and external variables. Okay, now the first input, how, which is the some input are necessary for the consumers to make a decision. So before they try to produce the product, how they getting a information, how they get to know the product and service offered by the company, which product is suitable, because the complete information how they are depending, how they are collecting. So this input are provided 3 types of stimuli. Stimuli is nothing but which is nothing but one kind of motivation or encouragement we can say here. And here significant stimuli. Significant stimuli means what? This is a physical tangible characters, because the consumer they are finding a based on the characters, okay, of the product. So based on the characters what they studied, what they learn, okay, so which is completely they are depending. These are the essential for making a decision, because how they are getting information, what and all. The stimulus displays significance stimula. One is quality, about the product quality and the price, distinctiveness, and service and availability. So almost all the consumers they try to go for studying the physical characteristic, whichever is they are finding, okay. So moving forward, second one, the symbolic stimuli. Symbolic stimuli, which is quite similar to the what we studied for the last one. The same thing here, the significant stimuli, which is similar. So these are the same as the significant characteristic, but they include the perception of the individual. So here the different price will be increased or decreased. The quality variations we are able to identify. Here the price is high or low, the quality is up to the mark or below the average, okay. So this physical quality characteristic what and all you observed in the previous. So the same thing, quality regarding the quality and price, distinctiveness, and service and availability, which is quite similar, because at the time of purchasing or selecting a best product. And social stimuli, which is one kind of influence, one kind of encouragement we are getting from the social, okay. This is a stimulus provided by the family, the social class. You can identify family members or friend circle or colleagues. So these peoples are identified as a social class, right? So here the family, friends, and social group and social class, they are getting an influence or they are getting an encouragement from the social class. Okay, this is important as one live in the society for the approval and appreciation of the society. Buying habit have been governed, because many people are learning, many people are getting an opinion or suggestion, advice from the family members and colleague, friend circle, social class people. They are getting with the completely, which is depending on the society. Here the major one, the social stimuli is the family, reference group, or social class. With the help of this kind of people, they are getting they encourage, right? So next, moving forward, the second input is perceptual and learning constraint. The perceptual and learning constraint. So these constraints are physiological variables like motive, attitude, perception, which influence the consumer decision process. Because any consumer, finally they want to get motivated, okay, negative impression, negative attitude or positive attitude towards the product, how they're getting a feedback, how they're getting an advice. The consumer receive the stimuli and interpret it, because the encouragement they are getting, the consumer before starting a purchase, they are getting an encouragement from the other person, so which is one kind of motivate, then they try to go for the interpreting. The two factors that influence the interpretation and stimuli ambiguity and perpetual basis, because the consumers are every day they are influencing with somebody, okay. So the consumer are motivated themselves, or their others are motivated for the consumer when at the time of purchasing the product. So last here the third one is the output, because finally the consumer, whatever they getting an information, collecting a opinion, suggestion, the finally which is going for the output. So by output we mean the purchase decision, because finally they are decided to go for purchasing, which is coming from the feedback, we can say here. After purchasing there is a satisfaction or dissatisfaction. So here we study the one is the pre-purchasing and post-purchasing. If they are purchased, if they're getting satisfied or not satisfied, the product is they like or dislike, so we are able to identify with the help of outcome. So satisfaction lead to positive attitude and increase brand comprehensive, because if they are satisfied, they can go for next time purchasing, or they can give reference for other person. With the dissatisfaction, a negative attitude is developed, because if they are after using the product, if they are not satisfied, which is lead to the negative attitude they are expressing here. And finally the feedback showing the dotted line and the solid line show the flow of information, what exactly we are getting from the negative attitude or positive attitude towards the product. So of course the company is very important to collect the feedback, okay, moving forward. And next, the fourth one is exogenous or external variable. How the exogenous factors or external variables are influencing for the consumer. Okay, so they are not shown in the model and do not directly influence the decisions process, because the consumers to consumer, when you are finding a unique consumer, because we are able to identify the external variable, how it is influencing for the consumer at the time of purchasing the product. Okay, they influence the consumer indirectly or vary from one consumers to another consumer, because different consumers are purchasing different types of product and getting a service from the service provider, because their opinions is completely unique from other consumers. So these are the individual own personality trait and social class, important purchase and financial status. So because many consumers are influencing a variable, external variable, so which is related to the personality or social class or importance of purchase or financial status or reputation, image, esteem or ego. So this is and all everything we are able to identify here. So all the four factors are discussed the above and depending each other, because all the factors whatever we are identified Howard Saith model, so it is very important for the company point and consumer point. Okay, they are studying, so influencing the decision making process. Finally they are why they are studying using this concept like model Howard Saith model, because you need to get to know the consumer behavior, how they are taking at the time of purchasing the product, what kind of decisions making process they involved. So this the model through complicated deal with the purchasing behavior in the exhaustive manner, because whatever we are getting a total inputs from the or feedback from the consumer, it is very important for the company at the time of offering a best product which will meet the consumers. Engel Blackwell Collot model, or you can shortly we can write EBK model. So EBK model consists of four components, which is information processing and decisions processing. So under information processing, any consumer they try to go for the processing the information whatever they are gathering. Okay, so a shown in the diagram of the informations. Processing the consists of the explorer and attention and comprehensive and retention of the marketing or non-marketing stimuli, because the consumers are getting a information with the help of different channel of promotion, that channel of media. So whatever they are trying to get attract the marketers, they are trying to focus on the consumer, because they're just providing the information, they are educating the consumers. Okay, either they are going for the marketing or non-marketing stimuli, but just for encouraging. So the consumer, how they are trying to collect information. For successful sales, consumer must be properly and repeatedly exposed to the message, because any company with the intentions to increase the sales, of course before that they try to convey the message, they're using a proper channel of communication. Okay, so the process how they want to follow the communication process or information process is attention so be drawn such that they understand what is they conveyed and retain in his mind. If the company are trying to convey the message using a different channel of communication, okay, how they are attracting, how they are creating awareness about the product, how consumers behavior will be, we are able to find the difference we are finding based on the information what we are providing. Okay, now next second component is a central control unit. Any consumer, whatever they're gathering, whatever they're collecting information, so at the time of before they try to purchase any product, so the stimuli process, how the consumers are motivated or encouraging. So interpret the information received by any individual, because individual requirement are fulfilled with the help of before taking a steps to go for purchasing. They try to collect all information whatever it is, wherever it is available. Okay, so this is done by the help of 4 psychological factor. So the company always fixing some criteria. So based on the psychological factor, they are trying to study the behavior, consumer behavior. The first one, the storage information and fast experience, because store information means the consumer where they want to get information, whatever they collected they will keep for the future reference. So with the help of data, whatever the information stored, which is going for, and even the past experience, if the consumers before they are purchasing a product, if there is any requirement for the future day, so either they're getting a opinion those who are already purchased that product. Okay, so that is a fast experience about the product, so which serve as a standard for comparing other product and brand, because if they have an experience, if they already purchased the product, if they are already use that product, of course, which is coming under the fast experience. And next one, evaluation criteria, which could be different from the different individual. Different individual consumers are evaluating the product based on the competitor, based on the price, based on the after sales survey. Okay, so they are trying to go for evaluating what and all other products are available. Okay, based on the different attributes or different characteristics. The attitude or the state of mind, the attitude, because consumer attitude, either the positive attitude and negative attitude, or like, dislike, satisfied, not satisfied, so which is completely based on the mindset of the consumer. The state of mind will change from the time to time and help in choosing the product, because how the attitude also, it is a matter for the choosing a right product for the, so the consumer attitude will be influencing for this purchasing decisions making. And the fourth, ED, the personality of the consumer, which guide him to make a choice suiting his personality. Okay, because the personality we are able to differentiate from the consumers to consumer, so that is also very important, we need to study here. Next, fourth component, say decision processing. Any consumer, if they are trying to evaluate, so finally they are trying to take a purchasing decision, either they are accepting or rejecting, which is completely depending on the decision process here. So this chapter is dealt with the later of the text, the context of basically for the problem recognition. Consumer or recognize their problem, so based on the recognition of problem, so now they are trying to go for internal and external search, evaluation, and purchase. So after finding a problem, now consumers are choosing according to the problem the best product suit for the demand, which is meeting for the consumers expectation or needs. So the decision outcomes and satisfaction or dissatisfaction also important factor which influence the further decision, because the consumers either they are trying to accept the product if they are finding a satisfaction, or they are not liking this product. Of course completely the decisions making will be taking a right proper decisions here. So the decisions process may involve extensive problem solving and limited problem solving and routinized response behavior, because the consumers are always choosing a product based on the problem recognition, and if they are finding any limited problem solving, if they are not finding any best solution from this product or best benefit, whatever the consumer are expected here, and routinizing response behavior, this depend on the type and value of the product to be purchased. Now they finalizing the decision after evaluating, they try to choose try to go for the best brand which is meet the consumer expectation. Fourth component, environmental influence. How consumers are influenced by the environmental source, either internals or external. Now it is completely based on the exogenous or external factors. Okay, the environmental influence also shown in the separate box. Okay, the consist of income and social class, family influence, social class, and the physical influence and other consideration, because as an individual consumer they are influenced by different peoples which is located, we are identified with the help of environmental. So how which is influencing for the individual consumers to take decisions. All these factors may be favor or disfavor to the purchase decision. If some people are advising, they are providing a positive feedback, few people are giving a negative feedback towards the product, and now the customers are really they want to take a right decisions. Moving forward for the next model. Okay, model of family decisions making. The name only it is suggesting, which is completely whenever the consumers identified with the help of family, when they are taking a right decisions to purchase or choosing a right product. So in a family decision making model, it is important to understand how the family members interact with each other in the context of their consumer decisions making process. Now here we are able to identify in the family they are dependent or independent. The dependent always they are expecting for independent, because the earning capacity, okay, how many members are influencing to take an individual person to take the right decisions here. Okay, so there are different consumption role played in the various member of family to family life cycles, family size, family members, which will be influencing for the individual person to take a right decision about the how the behavior will be varied from the members to member. Okay, family members to member. Okay, so this row are as follow. The first one, influencer. Who is the influencer? Okay, in the family, who is the final influencer? So the member who influences the purchase of the product by providing informations to the family member, because the family members are influenced by the influencer, because at the time of purchasing, before start purchasing the product, so they are influenced by the influencer. So the son in a family may inform the member of a new fast food joint. So the son is keep on roaming in surrounding. Okay, so he found there is one family restaurant or fast food center which is located. Now he is an influencer. Okay, at the time of once the son is express the opinion about the food. Okay, or he is giving an idea the complete family member. So the son is an influencer. He can influence the family member to visit the joint for food and entertainment, because here the complete information or influence, okay, the complete information whatever which is related to joint of food, the son is try to convey with the family members. Now next one, gatekeeper. This member control the flow of information for a product or brand that they favor or influence the family to buy the product and their choice, because the gatekeeper is try to convey or control the information. So he tried to convey the message about the product and brand. Of course, the family members are getting influenced. They provide the information favorable to themselves and withhold information about the other product which they do not favor, because the family, the members, the gatekeepers, what they are trying to do, he collect what and all the similar product is required for the family. So he try to avoid the unfavorable product. He is try to convey for only favorable product which is meeting the family requirement. Moving forward. So next, third one is the decider. Now finally, now the decisions making is taken care by the decider which product they want to purchase. So these are the people who have the power or money and authority to buy, because in the family there are different members we are able to identify. So everybody, they don't have any rights to purchase the product, because those who are deciding influence or family members that decided by the head of the family, or in the grocery item is purchased by the mother or the father. So finally, who is a decider here, you need to identify. So they play a major role for deciding which product to buy. Okay, so they finally, now for example, the family are decided to purchase a four-wheeler like a car. Okay, now the family head of the members, the father is taking a right decision. So he is a decider here based on the different factors. And buyer, now he is a decider, but he is not buyed. He can buy or not to buy. Okay, so which is completely, the decider will decide which product they want to buy. Okay, now here the decider can be buying the product. So the buyer are the people who actually buy, and mother buying a ration for the house. Okay, father buy crayons for his children. The decider can be decide. So either he can purchase the product or buyer can purchase the product, whatever they decided. So of course the company want to study the complete family background. Next, preparer. Those who are prepare the product in the form of actual consumption, they are preparer. So mother preparing a food by adding ingredients to the raw vegetable and frying the egg for the consumption, sewing cloth for the family. So he is a preparer, because finally whatever you're getting a provision item, ration item, which is completely mother is depending. Okay, so and user, because those who are purchased the product, they can also use, or entire family members can also use. So the son who actually use and consume the product can be consumed individually or jointly by all the members of the family. Use of car, the family, or use of refrigerator, television. The decider or buyer, whatever they purchase, which is fulfilling the requirement for the entire family member or individually. So which is completely the user, how many users you are able to identify in that family. Next, Nicosia model. It is very important. Model is a Nicosia model. Okay, this model explains the consumer behavior on the basis of 4 fields shown in the diagram, and the output of the field one become a input of the other field. Okay, and so on. So this model, which is completely we are able to identify there are 4 fields. So the first field, which is completely depending on the experience, how the company are getting an experience. Okay, so the Nicosia model of consumer behavior take into account in the explore level that the consumer get relations to the decisions of purchasing, because which is a company want to get to know the consumer behavior will be completely how it is influencing. Okay, any product, if the company how they want to create advertising, how they want to create awareness about the product using a best advertising channel. Okay, now experience how they get to know. There are 4 fields which form the basic of the model in such a way that the one field is the input for the next field and so on. Moving forward. So here is the diagram. The field 1 we are able to identify there are sub 2 field. One is the first message explodes. That means the company, in the company point of view, when you try to think, the company want to create more awareness about the product. Of course, they are selecting a right advertising channel. So which is the experience. The company want to get an experience. Okay, so the subfield, the firm attribute and consumer attribute. This model, Nicosia model, which is completely based on the firm as well as consumer point of view. Okay, so here we are able to identify two attributes, and so this the first field which is a input for the second field like search and evaluation. The consumer, when they are trying to take a decisions of any specific product before they purchasing, so they are trying to search the information with the help of internet source, where exactly print or television, okay, different source of information they are trying to collect, and they want to evaluate based on the quality, based on the quantity, based on the rate, based on the competitors brand. So they are trying to go for search and evaluating, and so this second field will be a input for the third field like decisions and action. The consumer now they are trying to go after selecting, after evaluating, they are trying to go for decisions, okay, which is related to the purchasing decisions. Okay, so now the third field which is the input for the fourth field, so which is nothing but your consumption and feedback. So the consumption which is completely based on the consumer, and feedback is required for the firm. So of course the fourth field how, which is completely attitude and purchasing decision and motivation, how the consumers are getting, how the company want to create awareness, okay, how the process will be going on. So you seeing the diagram only you can understand. So here the first field, there are two subfield in the first field of Nicosia model, namely the firm attribute and product attribute. Product attribute which is related to consumer, the firm attribute which is related to firm. Now firm is choosing a right advertising channel, so just creating a more awareness about the product. Okay, so are the component the first subfield, and second field include consumer existing attitude towards the product, because the consumers what they are taking a selecting or searching a information or taking a decision, or they are trying to go for evaluating a multiple brand whatever it is available. Okay, so attribute reveal the organization whose product to be purchased, and the second field refers to the evaluation and the search done by the consumer. The first field which is focusing on the firm, firm is trying to create an awareness, and second field is related to consumer product or attributes. Second field refers to the evaluation and search, and third field related to consumer purchase decision. Now after evaluating as a consumer, they are trying to take any decisions for purchasing the product. And now fourth field related to behavior after using the product, because the consumer after getting a usage or getting a experience from the product what they are used, okay, either it is a positive or negative. So negative which is not going for next time purchasing, positive means the consumer again they are trying to go for purchasing. The feedback is very important for the company point of view, because if they want to modify the product, if they want to improve, so of course the consumer feedback is very important. It usage and store and consumption, it is concerned with this satisfaction and dissatisfaction level of the customer after purchasing the product, because now we are standing in the modern marketing concept. That's what the modern any company they try to get a feedback from the consumers, very important for the improvement. Okay, so the feedback from the fourth field, input for the first field, which force organization for changing the attribute of the product, thereby act, because any company they try to go for collecting a feedback from the consumer, because the consumer already use that product. So that's why the consumer feedback is very important for any company go for doing any changes in the product or any attributes or quality factors or price, so which is completely company are expecting a feedback from the consumer. Moving forward for the last model, a model of industrial buying behavior. This model which is completely industrial buying behavior, because majorly we are offering a two product, one is a consumer product and one more is industrial product. So industrial buyer, so the purchase made in the industrial organization involve many more people, different background, and it's more complex, because studying the industrial consumers behavior, it's very important for the industrial company offering a product for the industrial requirement. Okay, so there are three main features of this model. So the first one, there is a different individual involved in who may different psychological makeup, because the different consumers we are able to identify, so according to their real requirement, and the conditions leading to the joint decisions making by this individual, because the industrial buying behavior which is completely based on the consumer. So when you are studying the consumer behavior towards the industrial, so difference of opinion on the purchase and conflict that have been to be resolved for reach the decision, because different types of decisions making can be, the process can be going on here. So you need to identify if there is any conflict arising here. So the person involved in the decision making are from the quality control and manufacturing and finance and research and development and other possible area, because any decisions which is related to, because under industrial only we are able to identify there are different areas are working. So who is majorly influencing, so we need to study. This may be named for the purchasing agent or engineering and user, refers to the model. This one different types of area we are able to, different types of department we are able to identify, different types of activity we are able to identify. Okay, so next this constitute the purchasing committee. They have the first one, the different background what we need to study, and different information source, how they are trying to depend on the different source of information, and undertake active research, because we are getting information we need to get very fastly. They have a perceptual distraction and satisfaction with the past purchase if they already purchased in the previous, so that is also very important. What is the level of satisfaction? And second one, the product specific factors, like product specific factor and pursued risk, which is related to with higher risk joint decisions are favored. Okay, this is actually the risk can be either systematic risk or unsystematic risk, which is related to the purchasing decision. And the types of purchase, what types of purchasing type. Okay, item involved heavy investments are made jointly, routine and sales less costly decisions can be made independently, because the purchasing finally the decisions which is completely depending on the involvement, like investment inputs, like or jointly they can take the decision. If they don't have any decisions, or directly company cannot take without connecting a interconnected department. Now time pressure, so how fastly you have to take the decision. So if goods are urgently required, immediately we need to take the decision, because the complete the machine or product, whatever, it is very important. So individual decisions are favorable. Okay, next the company specific factor. So the company specific factor, the size of the organization is very important. The size of the organization, the larger the size of the organization, the more of the emphasis lead to on joint decision, because the large size of organization, when if there are too many department, too many concern authority are involved, so that time it is a completely centralization decisions making. So organization orientation, in a manufacturing organization the purchase and are dominated by the production person, because in the organization the purchase completely which is dominated on production, which is completely depending on the production basis. Okay, so and in technology oriented organization, what technology you incorporated or implemented, that is very important. Okay, the decisions are based on the engineer, those who are working under the production department, the decisions is finalized by the engineers. Okay, moving forward. So the third one, the conflict that arises from for buying a decision has to be resolved. The conflict, what you are identify, the conflict arises within the organization, it should be resolved. The resolution can be done by problem solving, persuasion, bargaining, politicking. So this based on the four factors, so the conflict can be resolved. So the fourth aspect of the influence of the situational factor, according to situational analysis, a situation factor, you need to take a right decision. So which must be considered. These are the economical conditions such as inflation and recession or boom, price contract, rationing foreign trade, and strike and lockdown. Keeping all these factors, they finally the company, organization or industry are taking first step, taking a decision for buying a product. Okay, organization change such as the merger, acquisition, change of key personnel, because this specific model is focusing a main on the industrial, okay, buying decisions making. Sometimes these factors await for the realistic criteria for decision making. So sometimes there are industry, there are involved too many department, too many concern, too many members are involved taking a final decision for purchasing the product. Keep on watch for next section. Thank you.